Hey there, welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. If this is the first time you've discovered me, yay, you're finally here. And if you're a returning subscriber, yay, thank you so much for coming back. My subscribers already know that my goal is to save you time and money by giving you the scoop on filmmaking quality and content. So you can decide whether or not you want to spend time or money or both watching a particular film. So today, the movie I'm reviewing is called Lee. This biographical drama about photojournalist Lee Miller in real life takes a look at World War II through a woman's eyes and just recently hit theaters. The film is rated R. It's an hour and 56 minutes, and my overall movie review mom grade is a B+. I'm going to give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked, things I didn't like, tips for parents, themes worth talking about if you watch this with other people, interesting lines, funny lines, and we'll finish up with recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that you might also really like. All right, so let's dive in. In a nutshell, the movie was inspired by the life of Elizabeth or Lee Miller. Her family granted the production full access to the archives and trust, which was really great. It was based on the only authorized biography of her life called, quote, The Lives of Lee Miller, written by her son, Antony Penrose. The film was directed by Ellen Kuras. She had worked with Kate Winslet before on the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind in 2004. Did you ever see that one? It's really great. And another movie that I think flew under the radar of a lot of people called A Little Chaos in 2014, which is a really lovely film as well. Anyway, she had worked as the film cinematographer on that one. So Curious found the book about Lee Miller and thought Kate Winslet looked like her. So she shared a copy of the book with Kate, who didn't read it until after she happened to buy an antique table owned by Miller and wanted to know more about her. It was Kate who then invited Ellen to direct the movie. So Kate was a very hands-on producer of the film and of course stars in the movie. Writing credits go to Liz Hanna, Marion Hume, and John Colley. Already the film has been nominated for awards at various film festivals. So kudos to the team. So let me give you some quick tips for parents. First of all, I think that this film is entirely inappropriate for kids because of the content. Now, they may be totally bored out of their minds anyway, but we see several topless women quite a few times in the movie, including Kate Winslet, who proved in the movie Titanic that she did not mind baring her chest for the world to see. There is smoking, lots of alcohol. Unmarried people are seen in bed together as well as talk about their intimacy. Some French is spoken with subtitles that must be read on the screen. We hear profanity, including a few F-bombs. We witness an attempted rape. We see bloodied, dying soldiers, and we see pictures of dead, naked Jews during the Holocaust. So it's pretty tough material. Some of the themes that are illustrated very well are photography, modeling, stories of life and career, World War II and the Holocaust, of course, sexism, and ambition. So the list of things that I liked is quite long. First of all, the cast is absolutely stellar and includes Kate Winslet, Alexander Skarsgård, Andy Samberg from Saturday Night Live, Marion Cotillard, Josh O'Connor, Naomi Merlant, James Murray, Andrea Riseborough, and many of them were handpicked by Kate Winslet herself. Check out that impressive list of Oscar nominees and winners. Really great. And of course, they all did a fantastic job. We see several photos in the movie that were actual photographs Kate Winslet took while filming on set. And in fact, some of them, sometimes we see the photo, sometimes we see her reenact the photo that was shot. The budget for the movie was small in comparison to some of these big blockbuster Oscar bait movies. So Kate Winslet personally paid the crew's salaries for 2 weeks with her own money. This was truly a passion project for her. Now, believe it or not, Lee Miller actually did take a photo of herself in Hitler's bathtub in real life in 1945. Filming was shot in beautiful Dubrovnik, Croatia, as well as in Hungary. I had the great pleasure of visiting Dubrovnik a few years ago. What a gorgeous city. And then I was just in beautiful Hungary last month in Budapest. So you can't go wrong when you're filming on gorgeous locations like that, right? Yes, that's Andy Samberg from Saturday Night Live, as I mentioned. We're used to seeing him do comedy, but it turns out that he can handle drama pretty well too. I thought he did a good job, and I kept wondering, is he going to crack jokes? Is he going to be the comic relief for the movie? No, he played a very dramatic role. I appreciated all of the little details, like the way Kate Winslet knew how to use the camera, the famous camera that the real Lee in real life used. And then another moment was when the camera showed the characters wrapping their face, especially their noses, to show how horrific the smell must have been when they opened up a train compartment and it was filled with dead Jews from the Holocaust. Sometimes you see that kind of stuff in films and you don't really capture the smell of it all because we don't have smell-o-vision, but that let you instantly know it must have been horrifying. More people should have been throwing up. I think that would have been a natural response too. But anyway, be prepared to see some very heart-wrenching imagery of World War II and especially the Holocaust in the last 30 minutes of the film. There is an intriguing twist at the end of the movie that I did not see coming. I hadn't seen the trailer, and maybe I just wasn't paying close attention to the details enough to see that coming. But anyway, I loved it. So keep watching at the very end of the movie to see more photos and words on the screen that tell you more about the people involved in the events seen in the story and what happened to them afterwards. Now, with all of that praise, there really were just a few things that I didn't like or thought could have been done better or differently. For example, quite a few film critics and fans have criticized the movie for being too flat. Now, I understand why they say that because there are times where I'm like, I want more, I want more. However, it's hard to call ghastly images of the Holocaust flat. I mean, the last 30 minutes of the movie are emotion packed simply because of the nature of that content. But I can see kind of in Acts 1 and 2, there were some moments that, just didn't really grip you as much as the end of the movie. I thought the film was very powerful and inspiring in many ways. There's another movie that I recently reviewed that kind of was similar, and it was called One Life, starring Academy Award winner Anthony Hopkins. And throughout Acts 1 and 2, I'm like, okay, Anthony Hopkins is amazing, but it felt a little flat. And then in Act 3, really, the last 20 minutes of the film, I'm like, oh, and I'm crying, and it's really powerful. So hang in there if you watch this and you're like, I don't know, I'm bored, keep watching. And then the last thing really that I could think of was that a lot of biographies get criticized for playing with a timeline to tell the story. This one follows suit. There is some bouncing around that might confuse viewers. However, films will also get criticized if it's in chronological order because that's so boring. So they try to be creative, and I thought it was okay. But again, I recognize not everybody may like the way that it was told. So whenever I watch movies, I write down funny lines and interesting lines simply so I can share them with you. So you can get a taste for the dialogue and the script writing quality and all of that. You can see all of the ones that I wrote down on my written review at moviereviewmom.com, but I'll share some of them with you right now. When I look back at my notes for funny lines, I didn't write any down. This is a serious drama, but I wrote down a ton of really interesting lines that often speak to the theme or underlying messages. So there are a couple of people having a conversation, and the first one is played by Josh O'Connor. I just really like him a lot, and he's so talented. However, he plays more of a low-key type of character in this film. But anyway, he says to Kate Winslet's character, Lee, he says, does it have to be so transactional? And she says, that's what life is. And I don't want to give you more details about that scenario other than I thought that was an interesting line. And then Pablo Picasso is characterized in this film. He's played by Enrique Arce. Anyway, and so he's talking about Lee, who used to be a model, and he says, that's what models do, travel the world and try to be someone interesting. Ouch. And you see a lot of egos bumping heads, especially in Act One, which is interesting, especially compared to the extreme humility that we see in Act Three. Then, speaking of travel, Kate Winslet's character says to somebody, how could you possibly know all there is to know if you stay in one place all the time? She absolutely loved to travel. She loved adventures, as you'll see in this film. Another thing that is an interesting line is when Kate Winslet's character says, there are different kinds of wounds, not just the ones we can see, which is absolutely true. And then another line that she says is, there's so much light in a person's eyes right up until there isn't. And she's just so shaken by what she sees during World War II, which is not surprising, right? Now, as I watched this movie, I instantly thought of three movies that I wanted to recommend to you. The very first one is called Civil War. So the fictional protagonist in the movie is a photojournalist named Lee, after Lee Miller. And it's devastating. It's not a feel-good movie. I recently reviewed it. In fact, I will cue that one up to play after you finish watching this one. In case it flew under your radar and you don't know anything about it, definitely check that out. I thought it was well done, but again, there's some, Civil War death heavy imagery and scenarios in that movie, picturing the United States of America going to civil war, which a lot of people say that's where we're headed. But anyway, another movie is called Freelance, which I also did a review of that one, but that was a little bit older, but it was also interesting about some photojournalism. And then the last one is a much lighter film called The French Dispatch. And it's very quirky and whimsical and also has to do with artsy fartsy themes, if I can call it that. Hopefully you'll enjoy this movie if you watch it. I thought it was well done, and I learned about Lee Miller. I didn't really know anything about her before. However, I had seen her pictures before. So it was really educational and inspirational for women also. Now, when you get a minute, run over and visit me on social media. You can find me all over the socials, and especially on Instagram, you can find me as Movie Review Mom, but also as Trina Boice, which is my author name, which is my real name, where you can learn about my books, my online courses, my products, and my other shenanigans. Have a fantastic day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.